And now, you just crossed over into the Logan Zone. From ECU Pirate football to the whole college landscape to basically anything else that's on his mind, Coach Steve Logan's talking about it now.
You don't coach at East Carolina. You don't come to East Carolina. You don't play at East Carolina with a weak heart.
Tweet at Steve Logan Show with your takes or call 252-561-GAME for your spot in the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, National Finance Company, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. Now, here's Steve Logan.
I got rambling on my mind. I got rambling on my mind. I hate to leave my baby, but she treat me so unkind. I got mean things on my mind.
Welcome into the Logan Zone.
I got
Little blues music to smooth us right in. Got rambling on my mind. I'll tell you what, I know back when I was grinding away in the coaching profession around week 6 or 7 of any given year, coaches got rambling on their mind because we're going to go ahead and address the elephant in the room, so to speak, with the the release of the football coach at East Carolina. That stuff's always tough. It's tough on everybody. It's tough on every level. And, the fan bases don't really have an understanding of what all really goes on with that kind of stuff. They really don't. Fans are, I remind people all the time that the word fan is short for fanatic. And football fans, basketball fans, sport fans are truly fanatic. Some people, I think, can keep an even keel about it. Most can't. And they get very fanatic, very tribal about their team, their university, their pro football team, whatever the case may be. And when things aren't going well, not very many people, and I mean not very many people, from the top of the organization to the bottom of the organization, spreading out into the fan base, not very many people can handle adversity. And I've talked about this before. In the NFL in particular, where it was pay for play, and I spent 8 years with professional athletes, and I was the best opportunity, best experience of my life, literally. But I used to take constant notes when adversity would strike, the behavior of the people around me, and I tried not to be part of that group. And the group, I gave them the name Ripcord. They would show up for work on a Tuesday morning in pro football. You play on Sunday. You got Monday, you'd come in and correct mistakes. Tuesday, day off. Wednesday would start the new week. But they would come to work on either the Monday after the game or certainly Wednesday. And they would have their hand on the ripcord immediately because it certainly wasn't their fault. Coaches, players, administrators, not going to accept any responsibility, point the finger, blame somebody, fire anybody you want, but not me. And it was an interesting dynamic, and that takes place at the collegiate level too. The difference used to be it wasn't pay for play. Now it is now, and I'm going to get into a lot of that as we travel, through the show today. But, a couple of things, come to mind. And there's 1,000 points of interest to begin the conversation about the release of a head football coach. In this particular situation, in the East Carolina situation, I keep going, you can start with the firing, but then you work your way back from there. And the real salient question is in this particular situation, in the year 2024, every single football coach that is getting fired, and let me tell you something, there are lots of firings that took place this last week. The East Carolina situation, the Southern Mississippi coach got let go. But beyond that, I found 3 or 4 offensive and defensive coordinators that were fired. The most high profile was the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma got fired. He scored 1 touchdown in 2 weeks. And when you play the University of Texas, your arch rival, and don't score, and you're making $1.5 million a year, you can expect to get fired. And that is certainly what happened. So the thing that I kept going back to, in my mind, I would look at this, look at that, and then I'd ask myself another question. And the question I finally landed on is, how did we get here? How did we get here? And by here, I'm talking about, firing coaches with, 6 games left in the season. And I understand firing a coordinator more than I do firing a head coach. A coordinator, and believe me, I was an offensive coordinator for too many years, and I understand that pressure. It's the most pressure-packed job on any staff, including the defensive coordinator, for reasons that I could expound on, but I won't. But I'm just telling you that the offensive coordinator is a high-wire act, and you have to score lots of points constantly to keep everybody out of your business, okay? But when we get to the head coaching firings with 6 weeks left in the season, I ask myself, how did we get here? Well, in 2024, how did we get here? We got here by the lack of empathy, understanding, and inaction by the NCAA. Now, you people that have listened to me on the radio, particularly over in the Raleigh area for 6 or 7 years, I don't have any love lost for the NCAA. It's an archaic group of administrators. Most of them never had a jock on. And if they did, they were the last guy picked in the backyard football game, and they've had a grudge against whoever forever. I mean, the small-mindedness of some of these people I had to deal with as a head coach, some of the people, some of the rules adjudications, some of the things, for instance, as a head coach, I had a young man whose mother died, and it was against the rules for me to get money to send the kid home to the funeral. Now, just let that resonate for a minute. And of course, that kind of attitude, and I'm relating this to this. The football players should have been paid 30 years ago. They should have been paid something. And none of this that we're slogging around in would be happening right now. But no, we're going to preserve amateurism or whatever it is that they wanted to, whatever soapbox they wanted to preach from. And it was absurd. To the highest degree, totally absurd. College football players, college baseball players, college athletes, college basketball players, the amount of time and energy invested, and in the meantime, trying to stay eligible. There's another one that'll really get me started. Stay eligible. Okay, so you can go out and make more money for the athletic department and more money for your university, but we're not going to buy you a pizza. This is how we got here. And so everything that's happening to particularly the NCAA, I'm here for it. And I'm laughing my skinny little fanny off. And I hope they dissolve and go to hell. How does that sound? But that's how we got here. But it's opened up a whole new frontier relative to what I'm talking about, which is the firing of a head football coach, justified or unjustified. And I don't know if it was justified or unjustified. I don't have all the particulars. I'm like everybody else, in a way. I'm just watching from 10,000 feet above. And so the point is, that's how we got here. The next, you say, well, we're paying the football players. And I'm talking about 1,000 things at once here, but all of a sudden I'm watching not only the NCAA get what it deserves, but I'm watching the upper echelon of college football. They're getting ready to get what they deserve. What am I talking about? I'm telling you what I'm talking about. As I mentioned on my show last week, there is soon and very soon going to come a Super 70. It's coming your way. There's going to be a Super 70 football teams, and they're not going to be allowed to play East Carolina. They're not going to be allowed to pay, like Michigan did 2 years ago, pay East Carolina, $3 million to come up there and get your brains beat out. They're going to have to play each other every week. And it's going to be a bloodletting like you have never seen before in your life. Because if you think for 1 minute that the constituency at Alabama is going to sit by and watch 9-3 become a regular event, you're smoking crack. But everybody is going to be eligible to be 9-3 because the competition, as you're seeing this year, right now in the SEC, you're going to see some really good football teams left out of that 12-team tournament that's coming at the end of the year. Really good football teams. And football teams that aren't as good as the sixth place team in the SEC. They're going to get a shot at that 12-team tournament. And this goes on and on. Where did this come from? Well, it came from 1998 with the formation of the BCS. I happen to have been the head coach at East Carolina when that monster reared its head. And I stood up and I screamed at the top of my lungs, this is going to imbalance the playing field in ways you cannot imagine. And the reaction I got was, Logan is just making excuses. Really? Really? Look back on that now and tell me who was making excuses. I wasn't making excuses. I was on the front lines of the recruiting, and I saw in year one what it did to my recruiting class, to the players that I had access to. I couldn't even get a living room audience with kids that simply the year before I would have been in the living room with a chance to get them. The moment the BCS was announced, that only these teams had a chance to go for the national championship, I was frozen out. And it had a lasting impact on 90% of what you call the group of 5 schools that are out there now. How did we get here? Well, lo and behold, 3 years ago, some guy files a lawsuit out in California that he didn't get any money for his name, image, and likeness, and he wins the lawsuit, and it has shaken the foundations of college athletics. So I'm leading back to the firing of a head football coach. Let me tell you, if you want to fire the head football coach like they did this week at Southern Mississippi, all right, the first question for any prospective quality, there's the word, quality candidate coming in to look at the Southern Mississippi job or the East Carolina job or any job is how much money do you have for NIL? Because if it's a quality candidate and he has choices, if he has choices and he's got a brain cell, he's going to go to the university that has the highest, best checking account available to go purchase his players. We're in a whole new world. I've said this over and over. Nobody's really paying attention to me. But Deion Sanders and Rick George, the athletic director at Colorado University, is without question the brightest, most forward-thinking guy who had some vision. He's a visionary. Hiring Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders is not a football coach. He's got great leadership skills. Have you ever heard me talk about that aspect? Leadership trumps everything. And Deion Sanders has great leadership skills. And he went out and bought some of the best coordinators to draw the X's and O's and run the game, call the defense that there is in the Big 12. And suddenly they're 5-1. He also has a quarterback. So if you want to just really cut it back and see what's important and have a salient relative discussion about what it is that people want to talk about, which is fire the coach or hire the coach, it comes down to three things. How much you got in the bank, what kind of leader, fundraiser will the new head coach, what is he capable of in that arena? Okay? How capable is he in that arena? And then number three, can we, will we, are we able to capture a quarterback? So let's go over it one more time. Has an athletic director got vision enough to do what they did at Indiana? Indiana's 7-0 right now, sports fans, and they turned that roster over to the tune of 30 players and found a quarterback, and they've got money. If they didn't have money, they went out and found it. See, all of this is parallel. It's just the money now is being applied in a different place now, okay? Up until 3 years ago, the way to, quote, maybe get a better football player was to go build a bigger indoor facility, go build a bigger weight room, go build a fancy locker room like Clemson. They put a slide in their locker room. You can slide from one floor down to the bottom floor, which sounds incredibly junior high childish to me, but they did it. And maybe that got them a recruit. Those days are over. Those days are gone. And if you're not a visionary, if you can't see what waters you're swimming in now, you're going to drown. Whatever money you've got, whatever money you had allocated to lay one more brick of facility needs to be reallocated into the checking account to go buy the quarterback and make sure your head coach can go meet with all the people that are interested in your university and make them give you money, lots of money. And the thing that kills me right now, being the age that I am, I would in one way give anything to be 45 years old again and the opportunity to be a head coach, because with the right group of people and the right checkbook, you could go to Southern Mississippi, you could go to East Carolina and absolutely raise hell. You could go buy a football team and call all those other clowns that don't want to play you and make them play you and show up and beat the hell out of them. That's a matter of fact. It's a whole new world out there, sports fans. Y'all take a little break here. I'm going to take a little break. Best caller gets a Bojangle tailgate package consisting of an 8-piece tailgate special. Give me a call if you're not too scared. 252-561-4263. 561-4263. Give me a call. I'll talk to you.
Wear your colors with pride, whether it be ECU or any of the high schools in Pitt County. Stadium Sports on Charles Boulevard has all the merchandise and tailgating gear for the season. Stadium Sports is where the Pirate Nation shops. And it's also the place for hoodies, t-shirts, shorts, and hats to show your support of your favorite Pitt County high school. With tons of brands like Adidas, 1211 Designs, Champion, Cutter & Buck, Costa, Calcutta, and more. You'll find the style you want. Check out the new t-shirts and hats from Pirate Coast. Stadium Sports beside the railroad overpass on Charles Boulevard, Greenville.
I want to take a minute here to tell you about Bill Clark Homes. The football stadium, the baseball stadium, the Pirate Club, whatever it is, Bill Clark Homes has always been there for ECU. The reason they can do all of this is because Bill Clark Homes continues to build quality homes and neighborhoods in both the Greenville area and in the Wilmington area. And whether it's Greenville or Wilmington, you can choose your school district with several homes under construction and available now in both markets. Eastern North Carolina's premier home builder, Bill Clark Homes, building family traditions.
Get back to work, back to play, and back to the everyday with Orthopedics East and Sports Medicine Center in Greenville. Ortho East specializes in advanced care for patients with osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, debilitating joint diseases, and total joint replacements. Schedule your appointment today by going online to orthoeast.com or by calling us at 252-757-BONE. And remember, our weekend extended care clinic is open from 10 to 2 p.m. for walk-ins. Orthopedics East, official team physicians of ECU Athletics.
Hey, Pirate fans, take a trip, consolidate debt, update your home. Whatever you're planning, a personal loan up to $5,000 can help. Coach Logan here from my friends at National Finance Company. With NFC, you can get cash now. Loans up to $5,000, same-day cash, and fixed monthly payments. If you need to borrow money, trust the company that has been helping Carolinians for more than 50 years. National Finance Company. Apply at any of their 24 North Carolina locations or at nfcmoney.com.
It's bow time. The Pork Chop Griller is back at Bojangles for a limited time. We know you missed it in all its tender, marinated glory, and how could you not? Because when you take a juicy, mouth-watering pork chop and sandwich it on a flaky, made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuit, it's not a flavor you want to say goodbye to. And don't worry, if it could talk, we're pretty sure it would say, I missed you too. Get to the nearest Bojangles and order yours today. It's bow time.
Why just be a customer when you can be a priority? At North Carolina Farm Bureau, we're focused on your specific needs. That's why we have local agents working for you in every county across the state, offering competitive rates and fast, friendly service. It's more than insurance. It's the kind of treatment you deserve. Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
In Greenville, contact Bill King at 252-413-8850. That's Bill King at 252-413-8850. Is your pharmacy fumbling when it comes to customer service, prescription fills, compounding, medical equipment, and enteral intravenous therapy? Perhaps it's time for you to allow HealthWise Pharmacy to score a touchdown in regards to your pharmaceutical needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, HealthWise Pharmacy puts you and your health first, offering top-of-the-line customer service, individual attention, and free prescription delivery to anywhere in Pitt County. HealthWise Pharmacy, 615B Memorial Drive in Greenville.
Hey folks, Steve Logan here. Hot or cold, Wilson Roads Heating and Air Conditioning has been in the keeping you comfortable business since 1961 on Hooker Road in Greenville. Steve Rhodes, second generation, gives each customer a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Wilson Roads is an independent trained comfort specialist dealer specializing in new installations, home replacements, and service agreements on all makes and models. Go online at wilsonroads.com and finance up to 60 months on qualifying equipment. Hot or cold, get the job done right. Wilson Roads, you'll be comfortable in no time.
Coach Logan's in the zone. And now so are you. Back into the Logan Zone, brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, National Finance Company, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles on 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
Need a glass of wine, be on the back porch with that kind of music. Now look, we got two callers waiting. I'm going to talk with Trent first. Now Tommy, I know you're on the line too. And Tommy, I want you to hang on. If you can't hang on, I want you to give your question to Philip, my producer. And because I don't want to leave anybody hanging. This is just like being a head coach. You got them lined up outside the door. You got to take care of everybody, but you can only do it one at a time. So having said that, Trent, you are up. What's going on, man?
Coach, thanks for taking my call. Based on your opening segment, it sounds like to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you're saying for East Carolina in their situation that looking to an assistant coach or looking to an offensive coordinator who may be considered up and coming may not be the route or should not be the route that ECU looks first with acquiring their next head coach. And you mentioned, talking about George being a visionary at Colorado and what Deion Sanders has done. Is that accurate with my perception of what you just said? Is that the route they need to go, looking for someone like that? And then two, can you give me an example, in your opinion, of someone out there who may be that kind of person that ECU should look for in terms of its next visionary leader? I'll hang up and let you comment, Coach. I appreciate the time.
Okay, that's a great question. Here's the thing. If I'm an athletic director in Southern Miss and East Carolina, there's two schools that are on the relatively same playing field. If I were an athletic director and I had fired the football coach, there's a couple of routes to go. You mentioned an up-and-coming coordinator and used to 3 years ago, that would be the obvious route to go. An up-and-coming young guy that has proven he can score points, or he's proven that he can put together a great defense, got good leadership skills. You can hire that guy if you, as the athletic director, will become the money raiser. You could hire that guy in good faith and say, hey, Steve, it's your football team. I want you to coach them, go score points. I'm going to be the guy that does almost nothing but fundraise for the NIL to provide the resources necessary to acquire talent. You could have that model and it would be perfectly viable. On the other hand, I don't know a lot of I know athletic directors raise money. I know they do that, and some of them are really good at it. Some of them are okay at it. All right? But I just know that you could go for you asked me this question. Who's out there? Who would you hire? Do you know who I would hire? Do you know who I would make a phone call to? And I think I'm good enough. If I were an athletic director right now, even at a group of 5 school like East Carolina or Southern Mississippi, you know the first phone call I would make and make him say no to me? I would call John Gruden. You know why? Because right now John Gruden has a scarlet A on his chest. Okay, he's been labeled all of that crap that came out of the Washington Redskins. I don't know what you call them these days, but what came out of those emails, that was a hatchet job, and he's homophobic, or he's this, or let me tell you something. He's none of those things, but he's become, quote, unhireable, which is a joke. He's one of the best coaches that's been in the NFL in a long, long time. But you've got a guy right there that all of a sudden, are you brave enough? Are you visionary enough to go hire him because you might get him because nobody else has got the balls to make the call? I'd make that call, and if I got him, I'd bring him into the press conference, and I would hold both middle fingers up to anybody that wanted to question my ethics. All the do-gooders that would be ready to pounce. Oh my God, I can't believe you hired a guy like that. There's guys like that out there. That'd be the first call I'd make. I'd make him say no to me. Well, we can't afford him. You can't afford not to hire him. Rick George, when they interviewed him about the Deion Sanders hire, which rocked the college football world, everybody thought he was crazy. The University of Colorado hadn't won a football game in 10 years, practically. They were dead broke. And they interviewed Rick George, and they said, where did you get the money to hire Deion Sanders? He said, we don't have it. That was his quote. We don't have the money. But if this works like I think it's going to, we're going to have more money than we know what to do with. And that's exactly where he is 18 months after hiring him. That's exactly where I worked at the University of Colorado. I know that culture. It makes Chapel Hill look conservative. Boulder is crazy. It's not a football culture, but they'll show up if you're winning. You can't get a ticket to a football game now. And right now, I promise you, the admissions to the University of Colorado are skyrocketing.
And now the admissions director is really happy because he can start turning down a 3.8 GPA and get a 3.9 GPA because there's a million more applicants. And that's what they love. They can raise their academic profile by using what? The football team. Which, like they say, that's the front porch of the university, but it's way more than that. It's way more than that, folks. You don't think the medical school at East Carolina would love an 11-0 East Carolina football team? My God. The applications and the quality of the applications that would go hand in hand with that would be out the roof. That is a matter of fact. So, in answer to your question, Trent, there's a couple of ways to go about it. If you're a real dynamic athletic director and you can go squeeze money out of anybody, everybody, and whatever it takes, then yeah, you can go hire a true X and O head coach and let him go, buddy. And that would be a good hire because you are providing the checkbook. But if you're not that athletic director and you're going to require the head coach to be the face of the NIL, you better hire somebody. The hell with the X's and O's. You can go buy good offensive and defensive coordinators. You can do that. That's easier than hiring a head coach. So if you're an athletic director that you don't feel like you're that guy that can go out there and really get the money, your football coach better be really, really dynamic in personal relations and willing and able and love to go sell because he is going to be a salesman selling his program and getting people to write him a check. Right now, I mentioned this last week and I got some more information this week, okay? In the American Athletic Conference, I am a University of Tulsa graduate. This is accurate information I'm giving you. The University of Tulsa raised $1.6 million for NIL, and the Case family that's been supporting the University of Tulsa football when I coached there back in 1982, up until today, the Case family matched the 1.6 for $3.2 million NIL money for the University of Tulsa that's in the American Athletic Conference. By the way, Memphis, 5-1 Memphis, that's been a real healthy group of five football program. Guess what? Federal Express, or whatever that big company is out of Memphis, they put together a $5 million checkbook, $5 million every year, just from FedEx. Memphis is a good job. It's a real good job now in the American Athletic Conference. And God knows what's going on at Charlotte. I saw where they turned, this is accurate information, Charlotte turned 60 players on their roster from last year. 60. Now, they've got an upside-down dynamic in Charlotte, in my opinion. This is going to sound a little bit harsh. They've got a multi-millionaire, billionaire head coach, which you know and I know, he can move his money around, do whatever he wants relative to NIL. But so far, he hadn't hired the coordinators. He wants to do it. And it doesn't look like he's that guy. But if he goes out and hires a good defensive coordinator and a good offensive coordinator in the years to come, you better stand back and get the hell out of the way because they will curb stomp you. And by the way, the athletes at Charlotte University or whatever you call that place, they don't care what the weight room looks like. I'm sure it's okay. And they don't really care right now that they're playing in a junior high football stadium. They care about the monthly paycheck they're getting, and they should. Philip, did I even come close to answering the question? I get wound up. I ended up in
I think you did.
40.
You know, you were talking about Gruden and all that. So I can't remember what the first part of Trent's question was, but the second part was.
Well, there you go. See, so. I can. Is Tommy still on the line?
He is.
He is?
Yeah.
All right, Tommy, I'm going to put you on full scholarship for waiting, okay?
Hey, I'll take that, Coach. And look, I was a part of your program for almost the whole 10 years. I know you don't stay in school that long, but I made it a point as a player with Bill Lewis there. You were there when Coach Shank gave me the greatest cussing I've ever received, and I was in the Navy. And he laid into me for a white field goal we were doing. I didn't know what a white field goal was. You came over afterwards, Coach. You put your arm around me, and you said, do you know what he was trying to say? And I said, yes. Snap the ball with 3 seconds, not one. And moments like that have just been amazing in my life. And I want to just share some stuff. I was a manager. I was a player, a manager, and a student assistant. That you let me be a student assistant coach. I worked with Daniel Finn with the scout team defense against the number 1, number 2 offense. And let me tell you something.
Right.
I was a part of the program when ECU used to beat the Giants. What kind of check you have to write to Steve Logan or Doug Martin to get back in there and do what you did before?
Well, I can tell you
that
that I certainly no, it's an impossibility.
Okay.
For the reasons that I'm talking about, the landscape is so different. I would be, and a lot of coaches, I'm not alone in this. Let me give you a couple of examples. The head coach at Boston College last year, I think his last name was Hafley, Hallfly. He had a 6-5 football season, I think, at Boston College. I worked at Boston College. It's a great job. Great job. Man, did I have fun there. Great kids. And he just quit. He quit because he saw the NIL, what it was going to do, and the imbalance that it was going to throw on his football program. And he went to be the defensive coordinator, I think, for the New York Giants or something like that, and just left the job. And, of course, Tom O'Brien is the coach there now. And but the point I'm making about that is that guy he wanted to coach football. He didn't want to go raise money. And I guess Boston College, which has got enough money to do anything in the world it wants to do, had told him they're just going to do this much and not enough. Okay? And it was up to him to go do the rest of that NIL type stuff. Mark Stoops, I've mentioned this on my program before. Mark Stoops, who's that? He's the head coach of Kentucky. Done a great job over the last 6, 7, 8 years. Great job. At the SEC Roundup at the beginning of the football season this year, Mark Stoops, unprompted, said to the media, I don't know how much longer I'm going to do this because I'm not coaching football anymore. So, again, I'm getting back to my point, which is this. If you want to coach football and you want to be the head coach and you want to design the offense and provide the leadership and X and O and organize game day and manage the game, which is what head coaches have done forever, you can still do that, but you're going to have somebody providing the money for NIL. That's going to have to be compartmentalized away from you, but provided to you. Or, as in the case of Mark Stoops, he found out he had to do it himself. And he's not coaching anymore. I would rather be shot at sunrise without a cigarette than wake up every day and drive over to this house, that house, go out to dinner with this guy, that guy, begging for money so that I could provide and put a football team on the football field. I'd rather be shot. And I would do exactly what the head coach at Boston College did. I would quit immediately and go find a job in professional football if I was 45, 50 years old again. I would find a way. Because it's just such a cleaner way of life. The owner is providing the money. And that's where we are. And nobody wants to really embrace this yet. But I got news for the East Carolina fan base and Southern Mississippi and whoever else is down in, below the poverty line. You're either going to get in or you're going to get the hell out. You can straddle the fence all you want to, and buddy, let me tell you what, that's going to be the most frustrating existence of your life because you're going to look around and somebody that's in the same circumstance you're in found a way to purchase and acquire the talent necessary to win, because you can't build a football program anymore without money. Which leads me to one of the things I'm going to talk about, the hilarious, absolutely hilarious, unintended consequence of NIL has created two of the best football programs on the planet, Army and Navy. We'll get into that when I get back.
Texas Roadhouse in Greenville is the home of legendary food and legendary service. Start your meal off with a cactus blossom, fried pickles, or their famous rattlesnake bites. Then get ready for the main event, including legendary fall-off-the-bone ribs, country fried chicken, or one of the Texas Roadhouse hand-cut steaks. Texas side combos include chicken and ribs, sirloin and shrimp, or sirloin and ribs. For extra juicy flavor, try the bone-in ribeye. Texas Roadhouse, open every night for dinner and lunch on weekends, Southwest Greenville Boulevard.
As fall approaches, two things come to mind: football and cooler weather. This is Rachel Davis with Advanced Mechanical Heating and Air. We wanted to thank you for the trust you have put in us this summer. Before you know it, cooler temperatures will arrive, signaling winter is on the way. Don't wait. Prepare now for colder temperatures by scheduling a tune-up. Give us a call today at 252-355-9191 or visit our website, advancedmechnc.com.
Hey folks, this is Coach Logan. For outdoor storage, maybe a she shed, man cave, tiny home, or greenhouse, it's East Carolina Outdoor Products. They carry wood sheds, small to large, all customizable online. East Carolina Outdoor Products also has a full line of custom steel buildings, including carports, garages, workshops, and commercial-graded structures. You can't build, sell, and deliver sheds in East Carolina with a weak heart. Write it down, ECOP of NC.com.
Tell them Coach Logan sent you for an additional discount.
Did you know that GUC's utility rates are not only low in the region, but also in the state? That's right. When you combine the average electric, water, wastewater, and natural gas into one bill, only people in 2 of the 15 largest cities pay less than GUC customers. Only 2. Low rates and high reliability, working in the best interest of the community rather than shareholders. That's the value of public utilities. That's the value of GUC.
Hey there, Eastern North Carolina, Jeff Stein at Brown & Wood. The Brown & Wood service specials include a tire price match guarantee, a $199 AC Delco front brake pad installation special. We also have a brake rotor rebate of $40 and a synthetic oil change on most vehicles for $89.95. Don't forget, free pickup and drop off at Brown & Wood. 89 years in business, 4 brands, 3 generations, 2 rooftops, and 1 goal: to make sure you leave a happy customer.
Remember the days when you could go to your favorite butcher shop and get your pork chops or steaks cut just the way you like them? Well, you still can. Acre Station Meat Farm on Highway 32 in Pinetown, north of Washington, is Eastern Carolina's traditional butcher shop. Acre Station is where you can get your order cut the way you want it. The best sausage, bacon, and pork chops and steaks you'll ever taste. The short trip to Acre Station is worth the drive.
At Acre Station, you just get that good, friendly service you just can't find anymore.
I guarantee it's the best sausage and bacon you'll ever eat.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arrgh! Coach Steve Logan wants to hear from you. More from Coach Logan in the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, National Finance Company, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles on 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
Ooh, tell me, honey, what in the world is going on? Tell me what in the world is going on. You know, I woke up this morning. Trouble knocking on my door.
Back in the Logan Zone. Wondering what the trouble is. All right, we got another caller on the line. That would be Ray. Ray, what's going on, man?
Hey, Coach. Hope everything's going good.
Yeah, going fine. What you got?
I got two questions. I think what you're saying is the $60 million East Carolina is spending on their inside practices, they'd be better off to spend the money on players and coaches. And my second question is with the new revenue they're getting ready to implement, won't the non-revenue sports want a cut of that money too? And, because they're going to be hauling discrimination if they don't get part of the, revenue sharing money, won't they?
That is true. Ray, I appreciate the call. And here's the thing. There are the waters that we're swimming in, I keep saying that, there are 1 million more lawsuits that are going to be coming down the pike. Now, there is I think I saw it's 2.3 billion. Somebody could correct me on this. I was just reading it this morning. There has been an adjudication, a settlement, and there is going to be distribution of money that has been, the NCAA's got to come up with it evidently, but this money is going to be distributed to players that had played, I think, from 4 years ago forward, something like that. Is that true, Philip? Am I in the ballpark?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay, so, and it's going to be like it's millions of dollars per university, and East Carolina will get some of that. Now, they're not going to get as much as the SEC because the amount of money you get, from what I've read, is relative to the television package that you have right now. And, East Carolina's television package is nothing like the ACC, nothing like the Big Ten, nothing like the Big 12, and so on and so forth. So the money that East Carolina is going to get is going to be X amount of dollars, but that money is, I believe, has to be distributed to revenue and non-revenue sports together. Okay, so the women's softball team is going to get some money. That's my understanding, but that doesn't have anything to do with NIL or a collective. A collective, and those are two different entities now. A collective is a university getting people to put money in, and they're going to spread this money out, and that would help solve the Title IX group, and that money gets spread around. But NIL money goes particularly to a particular player whose name, image, and likeness is being used, and that's an unlimited amount. And so, the star quarterback and so on and so forth, but that doesn't prevent the head coach from getting his hands on some money and giving name, image, and likeness money to the right guard and the left guard and the tight end. So that money can be spread however you want to spread it as we sit here today. Now, if there's any sanity, I keep talking about this group of 70, which is going to happen. All right, there's going to be a super conference. There's going to be 70 teams, and basically it's your Power 4 conferences right now, and they're probably going to bring Washington State and Oregon State back in, which are the only remaining members of the Pac-12, old Pac-12. But when they get all of these people together, then there's going to have to be a salary cap of some sort put in place, which is what you do in professional football, because guess what? This is professional football. It is professional football. And the sooner everybody wraps their brain around this, the better off everybody's going to be, and the frustration level should begin to lower a little bit. Just lower things down a little bit to where you understand what it is you're dealing with. So, that's my comment on what you're getting to. Okay, that's my comment on that. So, I use the term visionary, and for the local folks, East Carolina, there's I would encourage everybody, and again, when I speak to corporate groups on leadership, teamwork, things of that nature, I mention this in my talk almost every time. And for you folks out there listening right now, I want you to type into your internet search, the penalty of leadership. And it's a document that came out, I believe, in 1923, 1929, and it was put out by the Cadillac Motor Company. And the Cadillac Motor Company at the time was being criticized by another motor company. I've read all about this, and the particulars escape me at the moment, but there was another motor company that was making fun of Cadillac, and, Cadillac pretending to be the creme de la creme, the leader in the automotive industry. But Cadillac put out a response, and it's called the penalty of leadership. And there's an enormous amount of wisdom in this document, and it was just simply put together by the PR group at the Cadillac Motor Company. It wasn't any one particular individual that put this together from my research, but it became famous, the penalty of leadership. And basically, there's a couple of things when I'm talking about a visionary, the penalty of leadership, the penalty of being visionary. There's a couple of things that are guaranteed to come your way if you dare to step into the arena of being a visionary or even a leader. Number one, you will be criticized and made fun of. People will make fun of you every time you fail. And you're going to fail a lot as a leader. Now, couple that with the other thing that guarantees to come along in the penalty of leadership. If and when you succeed, the highest praise your opponent will ever give you is that you simply got lucky. For you local folks, when I say Leo Jenkins, who I didn't have the opportunity to meet, which was my loss, don't you know that the first time Leo Jenkins said, what we need here at East Carolina is a medical school, they probably wanted to take him to a psychiatric unit and have him examined. What a ludicrous, ridiculous idea. That will never happen. You must be out of your mind. The legislature will never let that happen. And I don't know all the particulars, but he made it happen. And then after it happened, I guarantee you, all of his adversaries said, oh, Leo, he got lucky. He got lucky. Let me give you another little example. How about when I was at the University of Colorado coaching, we got on an airplane one day and went out and played at the University of Oregon. The University of Oregon at the time was just a middle-of-the-road Pac-12 conference school, and we were certain we were going to beat them, and we did. We rolled in out there. We had much bigger, faster, stronger athletes, and we proceeded to just beat the devil out of those guys. Physically, it was a very close football game, but we physically beat them to death. Well, guess what? How about somebody at Oregon getting together with a guy named Phil Knight and getting him to really invest in Oregon football? For you younger folks, you think Oregon football's been Oregon football forever. No, it hasn't. It's brand new. Because somebody was a visionary. Somebody thought outside the box. Somebody got Phil Knight to buy in. I've mentioned this before on my show. You folks that are in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, you have no idea the miserable football program that Oklahoma State University was from 1950 into the 60s, through the 70s, through the 80s, finally in the mid-90s. Somebody at Oklahoma State University got a hold of an Oklahoma State graduate that owned half of the Permian oil basin, all the oil in Texas, by the name of T. Boone Pickens. And T. Boone Pickens came in, gave Oklahoma State, this is a true story. He gave Oklahoma State so much money, the athletic director at Oklahoma State told T. Boone he couldn't take any more. That is a true story. And Oklahoma State University became a top-tier Big 8 at the time, Big 12 now, conference football member. And they begin to win and win and win and win. Because somebody was a visionary. What do you mean? You're going to call an oil guy? He's not going to give you any money. You must be out of your mind. How about this? Here's something everybody locally can relate to. How about a guy named Jerry Falwell? I think he probably one day woke up and said, you know what we need around here is a university to espouse the beliefs that I have. Well, you're crazy. That'll never work. Well, not only did that work, he decided to have a football team. And I know 2 coaches personally that have worked there, and they said, Steve, you wouldn't believe it. If you need it, you get it at Liberty. They got beat last night for the first time this season, in a huge upset, by the way. But Liberty University, you don't want to play those guys. That's the state we're in. You better wake up. You better find that guy or those guys and crank down on them to get what you need to get the job done. If you want to win, I can guarantee you one thing, there's going to be huge problems that you have to solve. If you decide to just get beat and lose every game, you got huge problems coming your way, buddy. Pick your poison. We'll be back after the break.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil gets you ready for cold weather with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop, 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
At CCS Equipment Sales, we're proud to be your one-stop certified Takeuchi construction equipment dealer. With more than 25 years in business, we understand the value of your time and work hard to provide solutions for you. From landscapers, grading, concrete, and land management contractors, whether it's Takeuchi excavators, track loaders, wheel loaders, and a wide range of attachments, we'll get what you need when you need it. Give our Aiden location a call, 252-712-1033, or visit ccsequipment.com.
Medlin Chevrolet is your trusted Ayton dealership. Medlin Chevrolet has made their home in Ayton, serving Pitt, Lenoir, and surrounding areas for 7 years. Because of local support and dedicated employees, we are growing. Just breaking ground on our brand new service facility to serve you even better. Medlin Chevrolet has an incredible pre-owned vehicle inventory. Our staff are courteous and service-minded professionals that provide value and integrity Monday through Saturday. Find the perfect vehicle for your lifestyle today at Medlin Chevrolet, Highway 11, Ayton.
Hey, it's me again, Gray Fussell, fourth-generation winemaker at Duplin Winery and proud alum of ECU. I'm looking forward to Pirate football and, of course, tailgate. I love to see you bring your favorite Duplin wine to your tailgate, tag us on our Instagram or TikTok, and my dad and I will pick our favorite photo from each home game. A winner will be chosen, and you'll get a basket of our best Duplin swag. So get your Duplin wine from your favorite store or come see us at one of our wineries. Go Pirates!
Anson Belt & Buckle offers a micro-adjustable, holeless belt, giving you the perfect fit every time. As an ECU alumni-owned business since 2009, Anson Belt is proud to be the official belt of East Carolina Athletics. Looking for a new belt for yourself or a special pirate? Visit AnsonBelt.com to see why over 30,000 customers have given their Anson Belt a 5-star review. With dozens of materials to choose from and thousands of possible combinations, you'll find the belt for every occasion, especially game day, at AnsonBelt.com.
Get ready, Greenville. Jaggers is going to open a Memorial Drive in front of Academy Sports soon. What are you excited to try? And what sets Jaggers apart? Everything, and I mean everything, is made from scratch. Burgers, chicken, and salads like you've never tasted. Shoestring fries, too. It's a fun environment. You just wait. If you haven't been to Jaggers, you just have to taste it for yourself. Nothing is prepackaged. You're going to love Jaggers. Coming soon to Memorial Drive in front of Academy Sports in Greenville.
With all the changes and confusion around Medicare, it's easy to feel stressed and overwhelmed. But at Flatlands Jessup, we're here to make things simpler. Don't panic. Our licensed and dedicated team is ready to sit down with you, explain your options in easy to understand language, and help you find the right coverage to fit your unique needs. No more guesswork, no more stress, just a peace of mind that comes from knowing you've made the right decision with the help of local people you trust. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
If you need roofing or gutter work on your home in eastern North Carolina, you need Jim Wells and his team at Wells Roofing and Gutters. Here's Curtis James from Pirate Crawl Space Services in Greenville.
It's been very positive, just very responsive, responds in a timely manner, and the work is done really quickly.
When you hire Jim Wells, you can believe the job will be done right, and it'll be quality work. So if you need roofing or gutter work, you should contact Jim Wells at 252-227-8403.
94.3 The Game, WRHD HD1, Farmville, Greenville. Powered by the Ritchie Law Firm Injury Lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to RitchieLaw.com.
That's RitchieLaw.com.
And now, you just crossed over into the Logan Zone. From ECU Pirate football to the whole college landscape to basically anything else that's on his mind, Coach Steve Logan's talking about it now.
You don't coach at East Carolina. You don't come to East Carolina. You don't play at East Carolina with a weak heart.
Tweet at Steve Logan Show with your takes or call 252-561-GAME for your spot in the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, National Finance Company, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. Now, here's Steve Logan.
I'm going to tell you something, folks. You cannot beat an acoustic slide guitar. It just can't be beat. Special stuff. Even though Greenville Utilities has a reliability rate of more than 99.99%, sometimes outages happen just like in football. You need to have a plan for what to do just in case. Right now, grab your cell phone, open the contacts list, and add GUC's emergency hotline as a contact. Here's the number. 1-855-767-2482. That's 855-SOS-2-GUC. Plan on using that instead of fumbling around looking for the number if the lights go out. We got a caller on the line? No, we don't. What we got? Okay. Philip, you told me we had a young lady call in, and then she panicked, but she left you with the questions. Is that true?
I don't know if I'd say panicked was the word, but yes, she would like me to answer. So I was going to ask you this, and then after that, we do have a caller after you answer question number one.
Okay, well, all right. Well, I think Brian is holding, so you tell Brian, make sure and hold, or he'll have to run after practice if he hangs up and runs off. So what were the questions the young lady had?
So she wanted to know, East Carolina has had some sustained success at baseball and some other sports. What do you think is the overall reason the football team has not been consistently successful over the last decade was part one. She mentioned the whole celebrity head coach idea with Deion, and she asked, would you bring in Vince McMahon, since he is an ECU alum, to be the head coach and fund some money for question two. And then she wanted your mindset on Tony Bennett up and retiring out of nowhere, even though that is a basketball question. She was wondering if you could answer that to his quick retirement there at the University of Virginia.
All right, starting backwards and working forward. Tony Bennett, the guy at UVA that quit, he came flat out and said that the NIL, he didn't want to participate in it. And evidently, he probably, it looks like, got word that the University of Virginia was going to, they weren't going to go all in on the NIL. Maybe they were. I know that, you got to believe the University of Virginia could do just about anything they wanted to do. And maybe he didn't want to go down that path. But this is just like the head coach at Boston College in football last year that I mentioned earlier in the show. There's going to be a lot, Bill Belichick. I mean, not Bill Belichick, but Nick Saban. Nick Saban walked away from the game. Nick Saban is fully capable of coaching another 3 to 4 years at a high level. You know that, and I do too. But he didn't want to deal with all this. It's going to take a different kind of coach, a different kind of model, different kind of a mindset to get this done. Now, why, East Carolina in particular over the last decade has been up and down. This has to do with, first of all, she mentioned baseball. Okay, baseball, that's a different animal. Baseball was a quasi walk-on sport up until 2 or 3 years ago. And by that, I mean they only had 11 scholarships. So it was a different set of problems for baseball coaches. They had 11 scholarships to try to field, 35, 40-man rosters. There were a lot of players out there playing for not very much money. And so there was a way that baseball was kept on a semi-level playing field. It's not that way anymore. I think somebody told me that the East Carolina baseball roster from last year to this year, it turned over like 80% of the players. So that's going to hit that. That's going to be difficult to maintain now in baseball as well. But the football deal, when you hire, okay, listen to me. I think I mentioned this on another program. When I was at San Francisco, I was one of the oldest coaches on the staff. And I think at the time I was, 64, 65. The general manager, a guy named Trent Baalke. Trent is now the general manager of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Great guy. I like Trent a lot. He took a chance, hired me. You don't get job offers at the age of 64 very often, but that's what I was. I took the job, loved it, loved every bit about it. And then it came time, of course, he had, it came down from the owners. He had to fire everybody because we were in a transition, much like the Panthers are in. We were in a total transition, turning the roster over. And, you're not going to survive that. That's just the NFL. No big deal. You're fired. I got it. But I was talking to Trent during, it was last 2 weeks of season, something like that. And we were having lunch together. And he was talking about hiring and firing. And I listened and listened and listened. And I said, Trent, do you know the scariest thing that you'll ever do in your life? And he said, what? I said, hire anybody. It's the scariest thing you'll ever do in your life because you don't know what you're going to get. You just don't know. Because the circumstances can change and it makes people's individual behavior change. And you can see people blossom. You can see people die on the vine. You can see people turn into Hannibal Lecter. You can see people turn into just the best people ever that respond to the challenge. But you can't predict hardly any of it. And I've been there at a smaller level hiring assistant coaches. And it's tricky. You better pray to God that you get lucky. And Lord, did I get lucky. I had some of the greatest guys working for me. And I made a mistake or two, but not many, thank goodness, because a mistake or two like that's going to kill you. Now, if you're an athletic director, and, you don't have to mention any names if you want to look at your university. And and I know, and everybody knows the mistakes that were made at the head coaching position in football that can fracture a program in about 1.5 seasons. Just totally fracture a program. And it becomes obvious to everybody it was a huge mistake because the individual that was hired had no leadership skills. He didn't have the football acumen necessary to teach the game and then have it be replicated on game day. There's a lot of hotshot football coaches out there that know a lot of football. But your football acumen is only as good as what you can get the young man to understand and then execute on Saturday. That's how good of a football coach you are, period. Oh, that got my blood pressure up just thinking about it. But that's one of the things that has happened when you make a couple of bad hires, which in the last 10 years, admittedly and bluntly, has happened. That's happened. And, it's happened at every university.
I mean, you can go back to any university and look at a couple of hires. I mean, I watched Bud Wilkinson, which means nothing to you East Coast people. Bud Wilkinson invented football at Oklahoma University. And when he stepped down, they gave the job to a guy named Gomer Jones at the University of Oklahoma. That lasted about a year and a half. And he wasn't winning 11 games a year like Bud Wilkinson did for I don't know how many years in a row. And it fractured the program. And then it went in another direction. And, it takes a while to go find that right guy again. And when you do find the right guy, you better take care of him and pay him double what you're paying him because he's worth it. Brian, are you still hanging on?
Yes, sir.
All right. You're not scared, are you?
No, Coach. I love you, buddy. You know I do. No, not at all.
Okay, what you got, man?
Well, Coach, I used to coach. I had the privilege of coaching with Coach Holly, and I know you know who Jack Holly is through your time doing recruiting and stuff like that. He ran a straight T. He ran something similar to what Army does. Except now they're spreading it out where they used to back when you were coaching. They were running a little wing and they ran flash motion and all that, and all that stuff. And my question is, from everything that I've seen of them in Navy, they primarily run the same thing, scheme wise. The problem that I see, even when I coached high school, and I see it today, and I saw it, in Saturday's game, is why don't the young people? What do you do to get the young people to understand that it is a job responsibility to stop that offense? I mean, you got a lot of mechanics going on and those types of things, as you know. But what do you feel like based off of what you've seen over the years? Because it's the same thing. You can spread it out and do all those things, but they've got an ISO where they ice they'll ice for the quarterback now as opposed to the halfback. But what do you see as far as why are teams failing so much to stop that scheme? Why is there so much of a problem stopping that scheme? And I'll take it off there as appreciated as always, and I hope you'll consider coming back as our coach. I know you won't, but Christmas week. So thank you, Coach.
Well, Brian, I appreciate the call, and I will tell you this is my comment on the success, really the long-term success of Army, Navy, and Air Force. Air Force is down this year, but they'll be back. But I've mentioned this before. I grew up in Oklahoma. I grew up indoctrinated into the wishbone triple option offense. I've run it. I was a little high school quarterback. We were more of a wing T idea, but the wishbone principles were ingrained in us. When I became a junior college head football coach at the ripe old age of 26 or something ridiculous like that, I installed the wishbone at Hutchinson, Kansas, and we ran the wishbone for 2 years. And I was Jayhawk Junior College Conference Coach of the Year running the wishbone in 1982. And the point I'm making is it's a timeless offense that creates tremendous conflict in defensive football players. Having said that, I'll say this. The generation of coaches right now that are looking at Army and Navy, all right, they don't have the background that my generation of coaches had in dealing with the triple option. My generation grew up with the triple option and then evolved into the spread passing game. The generation of coaches now that are being required to defend Army and Navy do not have that background simply because of how old they happen to be. They're not unintelligent. They're extraordinarily bright people. But they don't understand. Let me give you a couple of things, and I mentioned this a couple of shows ago. And obviously nobody listened to me. When I was at East Carolina, we played Army a lot. Never played Navy, but we played Army almost every year. And having coached the wishbone, let me tell you,
I coached the wishbone at the University of Colorado. When I coached at Colorado University, we were in the wishbone. Okay? So let me tell you the good news, bad news about coaching the wishbone and being on the offensive side of a wishbone football team. If we score first on you, we're going to squeeze you like a python. And if you don't answer our score, and God help you if we get up 2 scores on you, because it takes us 6 and 8, 9 football plays. First down and 10, second down 6, third down 2, first down. First down 10, second down 6, third down 2, first down. This goes on over and over and over again. And you look up and it's 14-0 and there's 4 minutes left in the first half. Hold that thought. I understood that. I coached the offense. I understood how it squeezes the life out of the opponent in the scenario I just gave you. Therefore, suddenly I'm a head coach. And it happened to be at East Carolina. And I happened to look up and I saw Army. And I turned the film on and I knew exactly what I was looking at. I wasn't super intelligent. I had experience, which trumps intelligence. And I looked at that and I told our staff, I said, we're going to come out and here's a couple of things I know. We were in the wishbone at Hutchinson Junior College and played Air Force. They were in the wishbone. The one thing I recognized about the Air Force Academy is the worst, most vulnerable athletes on their football team was the defensive backs. I looked at Army, same thing. The most vulnerable athletes, the place where I had a differential advantage the moment I came out of the tunnel, when I was at East Carolina, my receivers versus their defensive backs. I promise you, and I told our staff, we're going to throw takeoff routes the moment we come out of the huddle. The moment we break the huddle, the moment we come out of the tunnel, we're going to throw the ball down the field, not shallow crosses, not hitches, not slants, takeoffs, deep comebacks, deep end cuts, post routes. And we're going to get ahead of that football team. If we don't, they will squeeze the life out of us. And thank God, that's what we did. Every time that we played those guys, we got ahead of them. Now, when you're ahead of that group, remember that scenario I pointed out? First down 10, second down 6, third down 2, 9 plays, they get their 7 points. They're choking the life out of themselves. When I was at the University of Colorado and somebody would go up on us 2 touchdowns, it was game, set, match, buddy. I mean, if they were up 2 touchdowns on us in the second quarter, game, set, match, we weren't going to win that football game because we were killing ourselves with time of possession. It's an upside-down dynamic. And there's more to this story I'll get to when we get back on the other side of the break about how to coach the defense getting ready for the wishbone. It'll kind of surprise you. Stay tuned.
When you need roofing or gutter work on your home, it's important to use a company you can trust and who has a reputation for honesty. In Eastern Carolina, that's Wells Roofing and Gutters, and his customers rave about him.
My wife and I actually own a real estate franchise in the Pitt County area as well as a property management firm, and the biggest asset to use the gym is I know once I contact him that I don't have to think about it anymore. It gets taken care of.
Call Jim Wells at 252-227-8403. That's 252-227-8403.
Hey folks, Steve Logan here. Hot or cold, Wilson Roads Heating and Air Conditioning has been in the keeping you comfortable business since 1961 on Hooker Road in Greenville. Steve Rhodes, second generation, gives each customer a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Wilson Roads is an independent trained comfort specialist dealer specializing in new installations, home replacements, and service agreements on all makes and models. Go online at wilsonroads.com and finance up to 60 months on qualifying equipment. Hot or cold, get the job done right. Wilson Roads, you'll be comfortable in no time.
Why just be a customer when you can be a priority? At North Carolina Farm Bureau, we're focused on your specific needs. That's why we have local agents working for you in every county across the state, offering competitive rates and fast, friendly service. It's more than insurance. It's the kind of treatment you deserve. Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
In Greenville, contact Bill King at 252-413-8850. That's Bill King at 252-413-8850.
Hey, Pirate fans, take a trip, consolidate debt, update your home. Whatever you're planning, a personal loan up to $5,000 can help. Coach Logan here from my friends at National Finance Company. With NFC, you can get cash now. Loans up to $5,000, same-day cash, and fixed monthly payments. If you need to borrow money, trust the company that has been helping Carolinians for more than 50 years. National Finance Company. Apply at any of their 24 North Carolina locations or at nfcmoney.com.
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
Get back to work, back to play, and back to the everyday with Orthopedics East and Sports Medicine Center in Greenville. Ortho East specializes in advanced care for patients with osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, debilitating joint diseases, and total joint replacements. Schedule your appointment today by going online to orthoeast.com or by calling us at 252-757-BONE. And remember, our weekend extended care clinic is open from 10 to 2 p.m. for walk-ins. Orthopedics East, official team physicians of ECU Athletics.
Did you know that GUC's utility rates are not only low in the region, but also in the state? That's right. When you combine the average electric, water, wastewater, and natural gas into one bill, only people in 2 of the 15 largest cities pay less than GUC customers. Only 2. Low rates and high reliability. Working in the best interest of the community rather than shareholders. That's the value of public utilities. That's the value of GUC.
Get ready, Greenville. Jaggers is going to open a Memorial Drive in front of Academy Sports soon. What are you excited to try? And what sets Jaggers apart? Everything, and I mean everything, is made from scratch. Burgers, chicken, and salads like you've never tasted. Shoestring fries, too. It's a fun environment. You just wait. If you haven't been to Jaggers, you just have to taste it for yourself. Nothing is prepackaged. You're going to love Jaggers. Coming soon to Memorial Drive in front of Academy Sports in Greenville.
Now,
go for it every time.
Back into the Logan Zone, brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, National Finance Company, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles on 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3. Here's Steve Logan.
Well, it ain't nobody's fault but mine.
Ain't nobody's fault but mine. That's the essence of leadership right there, okay? As soon as you enter into extreme ownership, it's nobody's fault but mine. You have a chance to succeed. At Bojangles, football season is tailgate season, and again this year, Bojangles is proud to partner with ECU Athletics to celebrate Pirate football. No matter where you are on game day, pick up a Bojangles tailgate box with all the chicken fixins, buttermilk biscuits, fresh brewed iced tea that hungry fans want. Remember this, Pirate Nation, when you want to step up your game day festivities, it is bow time. And by the way, best caller, best question, gets a tailgate package. So we've had great questions today, really great questions. So we've got another caller on the line. That would be Gino. What's up, Gino? Is Gino with us?
We must have lost
Philip,
him.
if we have Gino, I cannot hear him. So
I can't hear him either. I'll try and call him back.
Okay. Well, before we went to the break, we had a call about defending the wishbone, and I got off into a rant about there's a way to defend it, but it's really more important how you manage the game against the wishbone from an offensive point of view. Now, that's my opinion. It's a strong opinion that has validity. Okay, you just can't get behind these wishbone football teams. They'll choke you like a python. They'll wrap themselves around you and squeeze you to death. You look up, there's no time on the clock. You're down 2 touchdowns and it's over. Now, defending the wishbone. The weeks that we played Army when I was at East Carolina, surprisingly enough, and this was an old trick that I brought from Oklahoma with me, when you're defending the wishbone, you go out with your offensive scout team. You teach them how to run the 5 basic plays in the wishbone, and you do not let the scout team have a football. You just have them run the plays with no football. This trains and begins to train your defensive players to tackle their assignment. Every defensive unit on a triple option has somebody assigned to tackle the fullback. Somebody is assigned to tackle the quarterback. Somebody is assigned to fill the alley and tackle the man on the pitch. Dive, quarterback, pitch. There's an assignment there. And when you get poor eye discipline on the defensive side of the ball, for instance, the guy that's supposed to tackle the quarterback suddenly takes off running for the pitch because he thinks the ball's going to get pitched. The quarterback cuts up and goes 60 yards untouched. There's nobody there. So you practice against the wishbone with your scout team not having a football. They just simply run the plays, and you make sure that quarterback, dive, and pitch is handled. How's that for an old trick straight from Oklahoma? All right, we're back with Gino. Gino, you got a question?
Yes, sir, Coach. Quick resume for myself. Back when you were winning in the early 90s, I once marched out to Dowdy Ficklin onto the field, got to the 20-yard line or so. We started tailgating about 6 a.m. before they yanked me off, and I was not a member of the marching band, okay? So that's my resume to start with. All right.
Okay.
Quick question for you. So this is a coaching mindset question. I'm going to get away from NIL, revenue share, coaching carousel, and these items we're discussing now, and I'm going to ask you a question about a coaching mindset. So coaching mindset, guy does a good job with his game plan, jumps out to a 17-3 lead in the game. Invariably, he's given the opportunity once or twice, maybe 3 times in that game, to put his foot on the neck of his opponent. And at that time, he freezes up and he goes conservative. He freezes up, goes conservative. When he had the opportunity to put his opponent away, everything was working. Everything was clicking. But he didn't do it. He wound up losing the game 20-17. What do you think of that coaching mindset, number one? And number two, if that person was on your staff, how would you handle it? I'm going to hang up and let you answer.
Okay, Gino, that's a good question, and I know that every fan has witnessed exactly what you're referring to right now. And this is the first thing that I would tell you and any fan that has that exact same question. If you see an offense come out and jump ahead 17-0, and suddenly it looks like to you that they've gone into a shell and backed off and tightened up, okay, the first question to ask is, who is the head coach? And the next question is he a defensive head football coach? I mentioned earlier in this show that 2 times in my career working for defensive head football coaches, exactly the scenario that you described happened. I will give you a particular, I'm not going to mention any names, I'm just going to tell you this is exactly what happened. I was in the press box. There was about 3 minutes left in the game. We were ahead by 4 points. And the head coach that I was working for called up and said, we need to really use the clock here. I said, yes, sir. And I called an X takeoff route. That is a go route to the widest receiver. And we hit about an 80-yard touchdown pass and scored to make it an 11-point game, and we took exactly 4 seconds off the clock. I almost got fired. But I knew I wasn't going to get fired because scoring touchdowns is the only way that I could preserve my job. And taking orders from the head coach is my responsibility. I understand that. But let me tell you how that can play out. Hey, Steve, we need to take time off the clock. Okay. I'll run the ball here, and then run the ball again, and then run the ball again. And I took a minute off the clock, minute 20, and we punted. The other team gets the ball down by 4. They're super aggressive. They got to have a touchdown. They go score. We get beat. You know who gets fired there? Me. Guarantee you that's who gets fired. Me. So, and I'm not going to name names again, but there is a local, relatively local football team that I see kind of go through that. Now, the head coach has been very successful. It's his team. I understand that. And on the flip side of the coin I just talked about, I want you to know that one night in a bowl game, my offense scored 62 points and got beat. I think at one point we were ahead, 35-7. We kept the pedal to the metal, buddy. We scored, they kept scoring, we kept scoring. We couldn't stop them, they couldn't stop us, but they kept scoring faster than we could. And we got beat. Dang, Steve, why didn't you pull it back? Why didn't you use the clock? That wasn't how we were built. Ask Army, for instance, we're talking about Army and Navy. Ask Army to get down by 2 touchdowns and go into their 2-minute offense. Let's take a good hard look at it, because it won't be very well developed and it won't be very well thought out. And it won't be very efficient. You are what you are. We were good at throwing the football for the most part, certainly when we had a quarterback. But to call up, or for me to call up to my offensive coordinator and say, hey, boy, we really need to use the clock here. You know, you're on dope. You can't just magically make your spread football team into a grinded out team, and you can't magically have a grinded out football team turn into a West Coast offense, because that's what you need. This gets me into one of the things that I used to talk about. And when I would interview and I'd talk to a head coach that was thinking about hiring me, I would invariably bring this up. I would say, hey, let's talk about a balanced offense. A balanced offense is not 200 yards rushing and 200 yards throwing. That is not a balanced offense. That's great if you can do it. A balanced offense in the Logan Zone is being able to do what you need to do when you need to do it. That's a balanced offense. And for the most part, we were okay with that. The highest stress on an offense that I would put together would be just what I mentioned. Well, hey, it's time to grind it out. Well, hell's bells. We're not built that way. We could run the football. I had a 1,000-yard rusher almost every place I went, every year I went. But it was upside down. We got our rushing yards on the call of 2nd down and 3, not 3rd down and 4. We ain't running the football on 3rd and 4, or even 3rd and 3. We're not built that way. But a balanced offense is one that should be able to provide what's needed when it's needed. And it's a delicate, delicate balance. But that's my comment on being ahead 17-0 and putting on the brakes. That's career suicide. And it will cost you your job. I know. Who do I know? I got stories that'll curl your toenails on stuff like that. We got another caller on. David, what's going on, man?
Coach, good evening. It's good to hear your voice on the radio and see you on YouTube.
Yeah, man, they tell me I'm on YouTube. I can't even believe anybody would watch YouTube for a radio show, but that's how old I've gotten, man.
Well, Coach, I hope they're paying you well for this gig.
We're having fun with it.
Real quick, having fun. There you go, and listening to good music and sipping some wine. Coach,
exactly.
When you came to ECU in 1988, package with you. How did that offense change? And then how did it change again when you were head coach at ECU? And did y'all incorporate that at Boston College? I'm going to hang up and listen. Thanks, Coach. Have a great week.
All righty. Well, thank you for calling. I really appreciate it. When I landed in Greenville in the spring of 1988 under Bill Lewis, who is one of the best guys I ever had a chance to work with, and there were times that Bill wanted to shoot me right between the eyes, and I understand that, but Bill was great to me and great to all the coaches. When I got to East Carolina, Art Baker had been the coach, and it was a trap option football team. They were in the middle of trying to integrate some run and shoot principles. There was a man named Kevin Gilbride here, and they were trying to integrate the two ideas, which would have been fantastic if you could have done it. And given time, you might have been able to do it. But it ultimately didn't work out enough. Art lost his job. Bill got the job. And Bill hired a guy named Mark Richt, who went on to become a fabulously successful head coach at the University of Georgia. But Bill hired Mark Richt as the first offensive coordinator in 1989, and he brought with him the old school I formation Florida State offense. Mark was a graduate assistant at the time at Florida State. And Bill hired him upon the recommendation of Bobby Bowden. And Mark came in, put in the I formation, and I think we won 5 games that year. We had moments where we were not bad. Mark left, and then I moved up, and Steve Shankweiler and I became co-offensive coordinators, and I began to put in a West Coast passing system. And Bill was unbelievable because he kind of, let me do it. Now, I will tell you this, that the first half of 1990, when I had a young man named Jeff Blake, it was touch and go. And the low point was going to South Carolina that year, and I think we got beat 45-7, something ridiculous like that. We might have gotten 1 first down that day. And I remember having a conversation with Coach Lewis. You can fire me, but you don't start screwing with me now because we're too deep in and we can't turn back. Very next week, we scored, I think, 55 points against Cincinnati University. And Jeff Blake began to figure it out. Everybody on the team started figuring it out. We started throwing the catching football at a pretty high level. We ended the season, I think, 5-6. And then, of course, the next year, everything blossomed. And we were way ahead of the norm in college football in 1991. We were a true one-back football team, throwing the football with some intention and well thought out ideas that were West Coast principles that we had begged, borrowed, and steal from San Francisco 49ers. And we had an NFL quarterback in Jeff Blake. And then you asked, how did it evolve from there? Everything from that point on was grounded in the West Coast idea, which is throw the ball short and run long. Okay, throw the ball short and run after the catch. That's a definition of West Coast football. So, right after that, we had the Mark Crandall kid that came in and broke all of Jeff's records. And after that, we had David Garrard. But if you would go back and look at our records, the records went up as the quarterback developed. Then the quarterback would leave, and our record would go down because we had to start a new quarterback and begin the teaching progression all the way again. And then we'd begin to win games as the quarterback developed, and then the quarterback would leave. And we would have to bridge to another quarterback, and our record would go down. And then the quarterback, let's say David Garrard, starts figuring it out, and we had to change a lot of things for David's skill set. Guess what? We won 9 games with David Garrard. David left. We were in a bridge situation, and leadership panicked, and it was all over but the crying. But then guess what? The gift of professional football came my way, and I went and learned a whole bunch of other stuff. Got into the option route, the New England Patriot offense, took that to Boston College with me, and buddy, let me tell you what, I had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful experience at Boston. Coaching Matt Ryan was unbelievable at Boston College, working with the offensive concepts that we were integrating at the time, which was West Coast, coupled with the New England Patriot idea, which had featured a ton of option routes, and we had a ball. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Give us a call. I hadn't even given the number out, and everybody's calling. That's great. We're starting to get everybody trained up. 252-561-4263. Give me a call.
They took me downtown and dressed me in black, put me on the train and started me back. They crammed me back.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arrgh!
Wear your colors with pride, whether it be ECU or any of the high schools in Pitt County. Stadium Sports on Charles Boulevard has all the merchandise and tailgating gear for the season. Stadium Sports is where the Pirate Nation shops. And it's also the place for hoodies, t-shirts, shorts, and hats to show your support of your favorite Pitt County high school. With tons of brands like Adidas, 1211 Designs, Champion, Cutter & Buck, Costa, Calcutta, and more. You'll find the style you want. Check out the new t-shirts and hats from Pirate Coast. Stadium Sports beside the railroad overpass on Charles Boulevard, Greenville.
Hey there, Eastern North Carolina. Jeff Stein at Brown & Wood. We have the 2024 Encore GX at 0.9 for 36 months. You heard it right, 0.9. We also have the Envision and the Enclave at 0.9. For GMC, we have the 2024 Sierra at 1.9%, the Terrain at 0.9%, and the all-new Hummer EV, 849 lease for 24 months. Brown & Wood, 89 years in business in Greenville. 4 brands, 3 generations, 2 rooftops, and 1 goal to make sure you leave a happy customer.
Looking for outdoor storage, maybe a she shed, man cave, tiny home, or greenhouse? If so, East Carolina Outdoor Products is your one-stop shop. They carry wood sheds, small to large, all customizable online. East Carolina Outdoor Products also has a full line of custom steel buildings, including carports, garages, workshops, and commercial-graded structures. They're the only company in Eastern Carolina that manufactures, delivers, and sells outdoor storage buildings, and they're Pirates. 10 locations in Eastern North Carolina.
Tell them Henry sent you for an additional discount.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Remember the days when you could go to your favorite butcher shop and get your pork chops or steaks cut just the way you like them? Well, you still can. Acre Station Meat Farm on Highway 32 in Pinetown, north of Washington, is Eastern Carolina's traditional butcher shop. Acre Station is where you can get your order cut the way you want it. The best sausage, bacon, and pork chops and steaks you'll ever taste. The short trip to Acre Station is worth the drive.
At Acre Station, you just get that good, friendly service you just can't find anymore.
I guarantee it's the best sausage and bacon you'll ever eat.
Is your pharmacy fumbling when it comes to customer service, prescription fills, compounding, medical equipment, and enteral intravenous therapy? Perhaps it's time for you to allow HealthWise Pharmacy to score a touchdown in regards to your pharmaceutical needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, HealthWise Pharmacy puts you and your health first, offering top-of-the-line customer service, individual attention, and free prescription delivery to anywhere in Pitt County. HealthWise Pharmacy, 615B Memorial Drive in Greenville.
Anson Belt & Buckle offers a micro-adjustable, holeless belt, giving you the perfect fit every time. As an ECU alumni-owned business since 2009, Anson Belt is proud to be the official belt of East Carolina Athletics. Looking for a new belt for yourself or a special pirate? Visit AnsonBelt.com to see why over 30,000 customers have given their Anson Belt a 5-star review. With dozens of materials to choose from and thousands of possible combinations, you'll find the belt for every occasion, especially game day. At AnsonBelt.com.
Need to insure a boat in Edenton, a business in Elizabeth City, a car in Greenville? How about a farm truck in Mount Olive or a home on the Outer Banks? Weatherly Insurance Agency, an independent insurance agency with 6 locations in Eastern North Carolina, is here to help. Weatherly Insurance Agency has agents you can get to know because they're your neighbors and live in your town. Call today, 888-OBX-2-IBX, or on the web at weatherlyinsurance.com. From the Outer Banks to the Inner Banks, Weatherly Insurance has you covered.
Coach Steve Logan wants to hear from you. Tweet at Steve Logan Show or call 252-561-GAME to jump into the Logan Zone on 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
If I have to tell you one more time, keep your eyes off that girl of mine. You and me, we're gonna step outside. You're gonna see my ugly side.
Back in the Logan Zone. Built by Bill Clark Homes. The Clark family are huge supporters of ECU athletics, football stadium, baseball stadium, and Pirate Club. Bill Clark Homes has always been there for ECU. The reason they can do all that is because Bill Clark Homes continues to build quality homes in neighborhoods in both Greenville and in the Wilmington area. You can choose your school district with several homes under construction and available now in both markets. Eastern North Carolina's premier home builder, Bill Clark Homes, building, family, traditions. We got a caller on the line. That would be Mitch. What's going on, Mitch?
Life's good, Steve. Hope it is with you.
Yeah, man.
Anyway, I'll make it quick as I can. I recall some years back you were saying that in the old days at East Carolina, it wasn't that tough recruiting really good talent from like Virginia and parts of Florida because the schools there weren't that competitive and the high school kids were kind of looking forward to coming to East Carolina. And then you said things have changed. Now we have schools that are competitive as far as sports, like Old Dominion and James Madison, maybe Liberty, UCF, and so on. That was several years ago you said that, I think. Has anything changed since then that maybe might give us some hope that maybe that's no longer the case, or in the future maybe it won't be? And if not Virginia and Florida, would there be any other grounds that might be fertile as far as recruiting some kids to come to ECU?
Well, Mitch, that's a good question, and I really appreciate the call. I'll tell you what has happened to the East Carolina recruiting area that you're referring to. When I got to East Carolina and all through the 90s, the Tidewater area was certainly available to us, and we usually had about 6 to 8 kids from the Tidewater playing for us, and they were productive football players. And we could go to North Georgia and find kids, and certainly, the Eastern North Carolina kid, the more we won before the BCS, the more we won, the Eastern North Carolina kids, they would turn down North Carolina State. They would turn down North Carolina and come play for us. All right? A young man right there in Greenville, Troy Smith, who was a great wide receiver for us. Troy Smith visited Notre Dame, Tennessee, and Carolina and chose us. Now, that was before the BCS. Had the BCS reared its ugly head, Troy Smith certainly wouldn't have come to East Carolina. That's the difference. But those are recruiting areas. Charlotte, all of those areas now, Liberty, some of the best. We had a couple of defensive linemen from Southwest Virginia, which is Liberty football country now. That I don't think you're going to get that kid to come to East Carolina anymore because they view East Carolina and Liberty on the same level. Why would you travel? I mean, you may go to East Carolina and have a great trip and choose East Carolina over Liberty if you live in Southwest Virginia, but chances are that kid's going to say, I think I'll just stay closer to home. Same thing happening in the Tidewater. Same thing happening in North Georgia. And so on and so forth. The shrinking and the tightening of the recruiting area around East Carolina is not good. I'm just telling you, it's not good. On the flip side, because it sounds like I'm talking out both sides of my mouth now. I'm not. I am just thunderstruck by the opportunity that's available to Old Dominion, East Carolina, Charlotte, Georgia Southern, to just go buy the player. Go find the visionary, find the person, find the money, and go get the defensive lineman. Which gets me back to pro football. Let me tell you, in pro football, I've mentioned this before, pro football operates, let's just say right now that the salary cap is $200 million. You got $200 million to spread among your 53 football players in the locker room. I'm speaking in generalities, so I don't need anybody to get particular with me right now. The point of the story is you got $200 million to spread around 53 football players in your locker room. All right? Well, you know and I know easily 25% of that is going to go to the quarterback. Same thing should be true with your college football team in this day and age. You better find a quarterback and you better pay him. And you better get the right one. You can't do a Bryce Young deal. And Bryce Young, I hope, turns out to be a good football player. I think he is. But that's a car wreck right now. They chose the wrong one. You got to buy the quarterback. You give me the checkbook, make me the head coach at Southern Miss. I can tell you exactly where the money's going to go, and I can tell you exactly how the team meeting is going to go. I'm going to pay the quarterback, and I'm going to tell the football team I'm going to pay the quarterback. And then I'm going to go find 2 edge rushers, 6'4", 260, and they come off the edge like a rocket ship. And I'm going to pay them. I'm not going to pay the slot receiver. I'm not going to pay the free safety. I'm going to pay 1 cover corner. That would be 4 salaries I would have to come up with. I'm not going to pay the offensive line. Here's what I'm going to tell everybody else in the locker room. If you want to get paid, here's how you do it. You're going to play this season, and you're going to make me pay you. Or you're going to get money from somebody else, and you're going to leave here. That's what I hope happens. Is that you develop and you get good enough to where I have to go find some money to give you the money to keep you on my football team. Or I just can't come up with the money. You got to go to Auburn. They're going to buy you. You're in the portal. Okay? Charlotte brought in 60 players from the portal last year. 60. And this is the new day and age you're living in. But you're going to have to learn how to be a general manager. You're going to have to learn where to allocate the money. I can tell you right now, in any NFL locker room, Myles Garrett, edge rusher, Cleveland Browns, he's one of the top 5 guys on the Cleveland Browns payroll right now. I promise you he is. So, you have to prove, you've got to prove how valuable you are in order to get the money, or I've got to bet the money on you on the way in. And in fact, I wrote this down on my notes somewhere. Where is it? Okay, here we go. Right here, sports fans. Last year, do you know how many football players entered the portal last year? 3,000. I'll kiss your fanny at 5th and Main if there weren't 2 edge rushers in there that a group of 5 school couldn't have had access to with the right checkbook, and they would have been worth it. Because the first time you go play Appalachia State, the Appalachia State quarterback would be trying to throw, laying on his back, and then ask me if that guy was worth it that I just paid to sack the quarterback. Yeah, he's worth it. They're game changers. The quarterback is a game changer. The running back is not. I'm not going to spread the money through the locker room to keep everybody happy. I'm going to do the John Cooper who I work for at the University of Tulsa. It's your job to keep me happy. And if I'm happy, that means that you're playing really well and you're forcing me to come up with some money to keep you on the football team. But everybody's not getting the money up front when I'm dealing with a limited budget, just like in the NFL. In the NFL, if some guy outperforms his contract, I either got to come up with the money and squeeze it into my budget somehow, or guess what? He's leaving. And he's going to go to the Seattle Seahawks to get his money because they got money in their particular financial arrangement at the moment. This is the game you're playing now. And I'm convinced very few people understand what's going on. That's what's going on. And that's how I would do it. I would have X number of dollars, unless I was at Oregon or Ohio State. Now you got a blank check. They don't even have a salary cap. But those are the exceptions. The rule is you're going to be dealing with some limited funds. You have got to learn how to allocate your dollars to the most important positions that are going to change the game on Saturday afternoon. Better have a quarterback or a plan to get one. That's all I know. All right. The show's over, Philip. Is that right?
It is, Coach, in about 25 seconds.
I had 4 or 5 more hours of stuff to go over with everybody. I'll see y'all next week. See ya.